What's up everyone, my name is Wong, and today it is April 2nd, 2025, and Nikon has just released a new camera, the Nikon Z5 II. I don't know why, but they keep releasing camera, announce it at night. Maybe it's for Japan time, I'm not sure. Anyway, they just announced this new full frame camera, the Z5 II, the second version of the Z5 I, of course. So I'm gonna talk about who this camera is for. Should you buy it? Should you not buy it? Like more detail about it. But first, let's take a look at the spec that it's announced. So it is a 24 megapixel camera, a full frame CMOS sensor. It has in-body image stabilization up to 7.5 steps. Amazing. That's awesome. Autofocus subject detection with support for 9 subject types. So like they have stuff for human, for bird, for planes, like all this stuff that they start pushing into every single new Nikon camera. 11 frame per second for RAW using mechanical shutter. 30 frame per second for JPEG only mode. A much nicer viewfinder, 3.69 million dots with 60 Hz with 3000 nits peak brightness, meaning the screen is a lot brighter from the viewfinder, so you can start seeing it like, you know, in bright daylight, even against the sun. For video, it can shoot 4K 30 frames per second using the full camera sensor, but if you do 60 frames per second, you can still do it, which has a 1.5 crop, not the most ideal. It can shoot in 10 bits analog or 12 bits and RAW. So that is good news for people who are very invested in the whole Nikon system, video system. It's great news too because Adobe Premiere just announced that, or at least Nikon announced that, they're working with Premiere that you can now edit MRAW directly with Premiere, which is great because previously if you shoot in MRAW, the only thing that can really like use MRAW would be DaVinci Resolve. So I did that before where I have to throw the video into DaVinci Resolve and then export it so that I can put it back to Premiere, which is my primary editing software, to go from there to edit my videos. It has a dual SD card slot, and also they have something called downloadable color mode preset via Imaging Cloud, which is their cloud software. So it's gonna be available in April with the price tag of $1699, so about $1,700. It is $300 more expensive than the Z5 I. It also has different kits that you can buy. The 2450 f4 to 6.3 is $2,000 total. And if you want to get it with the 24 to 200 f4 to 6.3, it's $2,500. Again, I'm not a big fan of kit lens, but if that's something that's, you think makes sense for you, then sure, go for it. But if you're going for full frame camera, most likely you have pretty good idea what you want to shoot. So kit lens might not something you want to go for. So let's talk about what I think about this new camera that just announced. I think it's great, and great in many different ways. Let's first talk about what's the timeline we have so far. The Nikon Z9 came out, which is the flagship camera that can shoot sport. All their tech, everything's into it. Amazing, good stuff. And then they have the Z8, which is like a smaller, younger brother of the Z9s. Amazing, I use that camera every single day. It has almost all the features that Z9 has. It's most expensive. Then recently they have the Z6 III, which is a great video camera. I use it for shooting all my video related stuff. Even when I'm doing unboxing, my side camera is the Z6 III, or if I'm doing video assignments, I bring the Z6 III out. And then recently they have announced the Z5II, not the Z5, Z5 II, which is an entry-level crop sensor camera, which I do have, and it's over there actually. And I did an unboxing and manual walkthrough recently, so check that on my YouTube if you want to know more about it too. And now they have the Z5 II. And I think the next one they will come out maybe the Z32, but not the Z7, because now the weirdest part is where is Z7 gonna be, because Z6 III is a video camera. This camera is a great, maybe most likely a photo camera that's full frame. Z7, the only difference is that the megapixel I think is a bit higher, but if they make a new Z7, is it gonna be same megapixel as the Z8, but everything the same except a little bit cheaper? But it's not gonna be that much cheaper because you have the Z6 III right behind it. So Z7 III is gonna be a weird spot. So if they're making a Z7 III, it's gonna be like maybe very high megapixel or something. I don't know yet, but I digress. This is not about Z7 III. It's about Z5 II, and it's doing great. It also has a flippy screen out, you know, this flip screen, which I feel like Nikon has relentlessly trying to push it out. They always do not want it because they feel like we are a camera company. We're gonna stick with, you know, only photography and we don't do videos. And I think they learned that was a mistake. They were behind on videos for many years. Even since DSLR day, they were behind on video technology because they feel like it's not their focus. At that time, right, but in the last like 5 years, 10 years, videos is such an important part about everything that people need, both for content creation, influencer, or even professional. So I think they finally realized like, all right, we'll play nice, we'll actually put focus into video, and having the flippy screen is a sign that like, yes, we're taking that seriously. Another thing special about this camera is the image, what's it called? Picture control? Let me see. Yes, picture control. They have a dedicated picture control button on the top, similar to the Z5II. So what is it? Is that it is a button that allows you to press it and you change to different recipe or presets. So I think this is a response to a lot of camera that got really popular for having a preset per se. So it's just like, it's kind of like editing style, you know, kind of like a LUTs kind of style for your videos and your photos. But you can press it and, you know, change to different mode. And I think that is a big major point that they really want to push for. And I hope they're like maybe competing with Fuji and that kind of stuff, because Fuji got really popular with having a recipe style kind of things. So it's interesting to see they're trying to compete on multiple fronts, the photos front and the video front. So who is this camera for? Before I get to that, let me also talk a little bit about difference between this camera and also the previous version. Let's say, what's the main upgrade here? Okay, let me go to their website right now. It's actually right behind me, right here too, but let me just put on my iPad so I can look here a little bit. So if you go to their website, there's literally a button that say compare to Z5. So we can take a look at it. So main difference, the Z5 II has XSpeed 7 processor, so it's gonna be faster than the Z5 with XSpeed 6. The ISO also go higher. It can go to 64,000 now for photos versus 51,000 on the Z5. For video, it now goes up to 51,200 versus the video on Z5 only 25,600. We talk about the video, we can do 4K 30 and 4K 60, but 4K 30 is full frame. Back on the Z5, 4K 30 has a 1.7 crop. It has MRAW and N-Log, and the Z5 I only have H.264. The max internal video recording limit, this is interesting, is now 125 minutes now instead of the 29 minutes, 59 seconds situation we had. I know that was there previously because of this weird rule that America has, or a lot of countries had, that's like, hey, if it's over 30 minutes, it's considered a professional recording camera, so we're gonna tax it on different tax brackets. So I think that is going away. So now a lot of camera company can now shoot videos over 30 minutes or even more. In this case, 125 minutes for this camera, which I'm guessing is to prevent it from overheating or, you know, over burning the sensor. Focus system, it has 299 focus point 3D tracking versus the 273 on the first one. Low light autofocus detection, now that's insane too. See the 50Z, the first version, only 5.5 stop. This one is 10 stop. What does it mean is that even in very dark situation, it can still do autofocus. So that's great for people who want to shoot in the dark or want to use maybe a filter, like a darker filter to slower your shot but still able to get focus. Continuous shooting, again 14 frames per second for RAW and 30 frames per second for JPEGs. I think the Z5 can only do 4.5 frames per second for both RAW or JPEG, at least that's what it said here. Viewfinder, 3000 nit brightness now versus the 1000 from Z1. Sorry, Z5 V1, the first version. The display also have increased a little bit too on the flippy screen. Now it's a flippy screen and also has 2100,000 dots resolution versus the 1040. Image stabilization also has 7.5 stop of image stabilization now versus the 5. But also now there's one thing called a focus point vibration reduction up to 6 stop. So this is something that I saw them introduced, I think, in the ZF and I think the Z6 II. What it does is that it will focus and stable your shot based on where the focus point is. Because traditionally, the stabilization is going to be in the middle of the photos. You know, how you move it, it's going to stabilize based on that. But now it's going to be on wherever your focus point is. So let's say if your focus point is like up here, up in the corner, upper right here corner, it will tilt the sensor a little bit. So then the stabilization will based on this point as a center point instead of like right in the center of the screen, which is a really cool technology. And then the rest are just, you know, the Nikon imaging cloud and also the flexible control or color picture control, which is the button we just talked about. So who is this camera for? Well, this camera is for people who wants to get to full frame photography, especially those people who maybe has a lot of, you know, crop sensor camera and want to finally make that jump to full sensor, but not really into videos. I think this is the perfect camera for people who are in that situation, because if you're not that into videos, or you don't need to produce that much video content, or you don't need to do at 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second, then you can just go by with just 4K 30. It's more than enough for most people. But for photos wise, it's doing pretty great. High frame per second, 25 megapixel or 24.5, which is more than enough for most people, especially people who are jumping from crop sensor to full frame. So this is where the category of people want to make that jump. It's similar to if you're on the DSLR side, you were using maybe a D300s back in the days, and you want to jump to a full frame, then you go to like D700 or something like that, or even D800s. So that is where that jump was, but not as extreme. You know, this is a good place for people who want to make that jump without having to go to the Z7, and especially the Z7 hasn't updated yet so far. So that is what the people, that is who the people they're focusing on. If you really want to do video, please get a Z6 III. It's an amazing camera. It's fun. It's awesome. But if you're not, buy it. I think the Z5 II is the best way to get into full frame camera if you're on the Nikon side. But other than that, I think it's great. Like, one thing I enjoy about Nikon right now is that it sounds like that they are not holding back on their technology on new cameras, because I've seen company did that before to not to, you know, hinder the sales of their higher tier flagship camera. So let's say the Z8 has a new processor, and if the same cost for them, they would actually not put that same processor on a lower tier camera just to justify to have people to buy the higher end tier camera. But sounds like that's not the case. They are putting the same processor in there. They are putting all the tech that they know into this camera, and they even use the same battery. So you can use, if you have the ENEO 15, I think, yeah, battery, or 25, I forgot which one it is. But you can just use the same battery, and it's not gonna cost you anything if you already have that already. So it's not a way to push people out. Like, Nikon is feel like they're finally care about marketing, care about their consumer. They actually know what people want and try to cater to that, and they will try to get people more or less into the ecosystem. So I'm really happy to see them doing that. I'm excited to see it. I might get it at least to do, you know, some photos with it, or use it for my, you know, studio setup or something. I don't know yet, but yeah, let me know if this is the camera for you, if you have any question about it, or if you want to know anything, you know, just leave a comment down below. I will reply to every single one of them personally. And thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, you know, the good old usual stuff. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.